Hello students, good morning. So in our previous lectures regarding this chapter natural resources, we have studied about air, then movement of air, that is wind, and lastly we have studied about how rain occurs or about rain. So today we are going to talk about an important topic, which is air pollution. We have heard this term many times and you are quite aware of this term, air pollution. So what is this air pollution, or how this is occur, or how we can prevent the pollution of air? That's what we will talk about in this topic. So we keep hearing that oxides of nitrogen and sulfur. Listen here, oxides of nitrogen and sulfur. It means nitrite oxide, nitrogen oxide, sulfur oxide. These oxides are main component of factors which are responsible for air pollution. Whenever we heard the word air pollution or anything regarding pollution of air, we hear that oxides of nitrogen and sulfur are increasing in our air. So how does this affect the life forms on our planet? Let's see, or how these are getting dissolved in our air, from where these are produced. So let's see. We have know that we use fossil fuel, or you can say in simpler terms, coal and petroleum. These are fossil fuels we use as a fuel for transportation, that is in vehicles. Our vehicles needs fuel which we use as in the form of petroleum. Another one is industrial use. We know that there are many larger machines in every industries which runs on any kind of fuel, or if you say it runs on electricity. So this electricity is also get produced by the coal only. So this fossil fuel we use for our betterment of life contains hydrocarbons. Hydrocarbons means compounds containing carbon and hydrogen. So these all fossil fuel contains substances like hydrocarbons. So when we use these fossil fuels, how we use them? By combustion. We burn them for energy production. So this combustion releases many kind of oxides of, again, nitrogen and sulfur, and also some hydrocarbons. This combustion is responsible for releasing such oxides and hydrocarbons in our air, which creates air pollution. So this coal and petroleum, mainly petroleum, contains very little amount of this nitrogen and sulfur, which on combustion converts into its oxide forms. So these are regularly gets released in our environment, which increases air pollution. So these sometimes these are unburnt hydrocarbons. What are unburnt hydrocarbons? Which are not getting fully burned during combustion. They are incompletely burned during their combustion. That's why they are dangerous in our air. So these unburnt hydrocarbons and many other suspended particles which releases from our vehicles on daily basis, these together gets in air. They get suspended in our air, and especially in cold weathers when temperature is very low, like in winter, these suspended particles get surrounded by water droplets, because air present in our environment in winter gets transformed into water droplets, and these water droplets condense around these suspended particles and unburnt hydrocarbons, which is creating smog. You have heard this term many times in news, because in Delhi we know that this smog is the biggest problem during winter seasons. So these smogs decreases visibility. We are not able to see through the air very clear due to presence of this smog, and also this smog and all these nitrogen oxides, they are transported to clouds with evaporation of air, which will be released again on our environment in the form of rain, but this time with many sulfur and nitrogen oxides. That's why we call it acid rain. So this acid rain is nothing but a result of air pollution. So continuously breathing this air, having these dangerous poisonous substances, increases the diseases like heart disease, respiratory disease, sometimes even cancer. So this is what we call air pollution, which will affect the lives of every organism very effectively. There is an activity given in your textbook 14.6 in which you have to observe lichens in your surrounding. Now you may wonder what is these lichens are. So lichens are combination of two different species, which is algae and fungi. You note these two words. Fungi means fug and algae means lil. So these algae and fungi, they live together symbiotically. Symbiotically means on living together they both get benefits. They both are getting benefits on living together. So this living together form of algae and fungi is called as lichens, and these lichens are very sensitive to air pollution. If there is a slight change in pollution of air, these lichens will not survive there. So you can say that these are the indicators of pollution. They indicates that in this area pollution is higher or lower. Where you can see the presence of lichens, you may conclude that the air pollution in that area is very low. So in this activity you have to observe if you can see lichens in your surrounding or on the roadside trees. The trees which are present on the roadside, you have to observe if any lichens are present on these trees. You have to observe if the side facing this roadside have more lichens or side facing the other side have more lichens. So this is the activity you have to do. How you will identify lichens? So these are having greenish white color, so that way you can identify if this is lichen or not. So this is the topic air pollution. Now we move on to our next topic, which is water, a wonder liquid. Water, this is our next natural resource. First we have learned was air, and this is water, our next natural resources. So let's start this topic. So we know that water occupies most of the space on our planet. Water occupies most of the space on our earth, but we also know that most of this space is, or most of this water is present in oceans and seas. If you say that 75% of our earth is covered by water, then you can say that 99% of this 75% water is present in oceans and seas. So you can say that this water is saline. What is saline? That it is having very high concentration of dissolved salts. There are many dissolved salts present in this water of ocean or seas. So this water is called as saline water. So water which is not having this dissolved salt is called as fresh water. So you have seen that 99% of water present on our planet is saline. Only 1% of water is fresh water. So where this fresh water found? This fresh water found in ice caps, or you can say frozen ice in our polar regions and mountains which is having snow caps on the tops. This is where you can find fresh water. Other than that, you found fresh water in rivers, ponds, lakes, and we have discussed before that groundwater which is present beneath lithosphere is also of fresh kind of water. So this is general introduction which kind of water is found on our planet. And if fresh water is found in these reservoirs, we also have to note that it varies from region to region. It means that in some region you may have observed that water is a main crisis in some villages. They have to suffer, or they have to spend most of their time just to gain some water. So water is present in different amount in different regions. So why this water is so much important, or why water is necessary? Is it necessary to have water or to drink water to survive? So let's see that we have seen that the fundamental unit of any life form is cell, and every cell to function they need water. Why? Because every activity of the cell is done in dissolved form or in water. Any kind of transportation from cell to cell is also done in dissolved form in water. Every substance is found in our body is in dissolved form in water. So any function in our body needs water to get completed, because our whole body is made up of 70% water. So if any cell is not getting enough water, it will be dead soon. So that's why water is responsible for our liveliness, or water is necessary to survive. We have talked about this saline and fresh water. So again, let's talk that terrestrial forms or animals living on land, which are known as terrestrial animals, cannot digest saline water or cannot live in saline water. We cannot drink the water from any ocean because we are not tolerable, or we cannot tolerate this high concentration of dissolved salts, or we don't have any kind of mechanism which will excrete these salts from water that we take. That's why all the terrestrial organism needs fresh water to work. Now you will see that there are many terrestrial animals except us living on this land, and we have only 1% of fresh water. That's why this water crisis we have seen in news frequently is a point to understand. There are two activities given in your textbook, 14.8 and 14.9. These activities are there to understand why water is so important, or how water plays an important role in distribution of living organisms. So let's see what to do in this activity. You have to select a small area, say 1 meter square. 1 meter area you have to select near a water body. If there is a river passing through here, or near pond, near any lake, you have to select this 1 meter square area, and you have to count the living organisms present in between this area. It may be either plant or animal. You have to count these species, number of species found in this 1 meter square area. Now you select this 1 meter square area in any dry or rocky place where there is no water bodies around, and you calculate the number of species in that area too. Now compare the total number of species you have counted of both this area. You will see that in area selected near water bodies, you will find more number of species of organisms, and on dry rocky area you will observe very less number of animal life or plant life surviving there. So this explains that water is very important, or if water is available in sufficient source, so that area will be having more number of animal or plant species. So from this activity you have concluded that the area which are having more rain, let's say 200 centimeter per year, and area which is having less rain, say 5 centimeter per annum, you will observe that the number of species will be higher in this area. So now there is a task given in your textbook. You have to take an atlas, and in our country map India, you have to see that where this rain is very higher and where rain is very low, and you have to observe if the number of species or species diversity is high in 200 semi per annum rain area or 5 centimeter per annum rain area. By this you can conclude that water is very necessary, or water is most important factor, but also other factors like soil and temperature are affected in any area for their number of species diversity. So water is also important, as well as soil and temperature are also important for any area or animals or plants to survive. So we will talk about water pollution in our subsequent lecture. Thank you, students.